What's going on, y'all? Let's talk today about meditation. I love meditation. As simple as it is, it gets wildly overcomplicated. Not unlike the voice, not unlike fitness. As impactful as it is wildly underutilized. I mean, meditation is free. I have everything that I need for it right here. Do I do it as often as I should? No, I do not. Do I ever regret it? No, I do not. And yet, here we are. Knowing it's good for you, not doing it as often as you should. Such is the plight of man. So, all right, let's dig in a little bit to meditation. So, when most people meditate, you can think about this like there's layers of the mind, like there's depths of the mind. On the surface layer, we just have all of this noise from the world around us. And what initially meditation is like for people is they experience maybe not the cessation, but the quieting, the calming down of that noise on the surface. But there's still a ton of noise at each level below. And when most people meditate, at least this was my experience, I would use some varying devices, for example, like fire breathing, I think some people call it. Really sharp, full inhales through the nose, forceful exhale as hard as you can through the mouth. Basically do that until you get kind of dizzy. Lower your conscious, raise your subconscious kind of thing, whatever. Over oxygenate your blood. Basically, this stuff just gets you to calm down. And what does calm down really mean? It's calming down the pattern of your thoughts in your mind, where they are racing to. And it's also inducing states within your body. So that fire breathing or that whatever calms down the thoughts in the brain. And it also induces a huge feeling of calm. Maybe there's dopamine, maybe who knows what it is in the body. Very relaxed. And then from there, people will talk about just watching their thoughts come and go, just observing their thoughts. This is good. This is fine. But sometimes what this can result in is distraction. Like for me, sometimes I never call it a waste of an effort, but I will sometimes sit with that thought and then go down the rabbit hole with it while I am meditating. But that's not really meditating. That is daydreaming, just in a more relaxed, quieted mind kind of way. Other types of meditation involve fixating your mind on something. I've done types of meditation where you fixate your mind on hands of a clock and you want to basically bring them together, keep them together. Or there is also mantra meditation where you take a mantra, say, this is how I learned it, say it out loud, and then with full intention, and then get quieter and quieter until you are repeating this mantra only internally. And this stuff will act on the layers of 1 and 2 to further quiet your mind down. But the deeper levels, the deeper layers, the deeper levels are still in this turmoil that hasn't been calmed yet. So now by doing this, we've experienced some calm below that surface level. And now people will go, oh, wow, okay, this is really start to feel something. Then you start to get as I had a friend call them once, the downloads. This is God speaking to me, whatever. Is it God? I don't know for you. I know for me when it is, when it's not, when it's just a message from my subconscious. Now that the noise of the consciousness has been quieted, now I can actually hear and receive from my subconscious. And that is as far as most people will go. They basically just get themselves into this subconscious elevated, consciousness lowered state, like gamma waves or delta waves or whatever kind of brain waves are happening. And they experience that for a little bit and then they're good. If you're anything like me, you experience this once and that's enough to get you're good for a year, It's like, when was the last time you meditated? Oh, it was recently. Yeah, check your logs. Oh, it was months ago. I am still riding off of the huge leveling up that I had months ago in July. It's the end of November now. In July, when I did exactly half of an SN Goenka Vipassana retreat, the first one that you're eligible to do, the 10-day one. And this is where things for me really started to accelerate, because it was here in this retreat that I saw, let's just say I saw a new light of meditation. And this new light of meditation brought with it a ton of learning. First, the idea of the visual, the idea of the mind, represented by, surface layer 1, 2, 3, whatever. I saw how much deeper, how many more layers there are to go, and that the only way that you can access them is through continued training. So this training, this style of meditation, Vipassana and Anapana in particular, is secular. It's not seeking to get to, quote unquote, know God or have a spiritual experience. There is no mantra, there is no visual. It's just observing the sensations of your breath from the top of your upper lip to the opening of your nostrils. Just observing that, not even changing your breath, just tuning into every little sensation, to the point to where, for me, when I was there, a blowing of the nose hair felt cinematic. One of the things that I got there, in addition to the depths of the layers of the mind idea, and that you could have a profoundly meditative experience without any kind of visual or mantra or breathing or anything like that, was the notion of what meditation really is supposed to be. It's not that you are emptying your mind, it's that you are purifying your mind, making it so that the noise that you turn down and eventually you get rid of doesn't come back, and understanding where that noise comes from in the first place, what thoughts, what emotions it is connected to. Basically, like, why are we pulling ourselves out of this present moment, the present moment, which is all there is. That was the other big thing that I experienced there, which is that it is this present moment that is all there is. And I did gain access to this present moment, not through some adrenaline high, whatever, but just through the sustained process of observing my breath. And to get to that place, and then to stay in that place, and then to deepen where you're at there, you eventually have this knowledge through these experiences. I was hesitating to say that you have this experience, but you gain this, what Goenka calls experiential knowledge. And that is that all things pass. That's it. That all things pass. You could say we have this knowledge being out here on the outside, non-meditators. You're like, yeah, you get things and then they go away. You fall in love, things end. People die, whatever. I've had all those things happen to me. Yet somehow I still didn't really get this I used to explain it by, I would tap my head and be like, I get it here, but I don't get it here, and point at my heart to explain similar concepts or similar feelings. But the getting it here at the heart level, that's getting it at the experiential level, as Goenka calls it. And it is being fully present for these moments, right? So through this meditation, you become fully present. And then when you are fully present, then you have more awareness of the other stuff that's happening inside and around you. And so you get these, what they call storms, which are basically onsets of unpleasant thoughts, or they might actually be pleasant thoughts. And you can see them, feel them coming, and then they get incredibly tough to bear and to be in the middle of, to stay observant and equanimous of, and not react to. And then they fade out, and then they go away entirely. And for as much life as I have lived in the 33 and a half years that I had when I went to the retreat, for some reason, it wasn't until being in the retreat that I really got that at the experiential level. And that, to me, is the realest point of meditation, is that we are, yes, quieting the mind, calming the mind, purifying the mind. And we have to be able to do that stuff because we have to empty the mind so that it can be filled with what we really want it to be filled with, and so that we can just be here in the present moment. We have to be able to do that stuff if we want to be as maximally effective as we want to be, as we need to be in this lifetime. But we also need to have the ability to remain equanimous and to know that everything passes. You have to know that everything passes in order to remain equanimous. Equanimous means non-reactive. I didn't go study the dictionary. This is just what they repeated a lot in the retreat. And it's true. So I was like, yeah, I have no argument there. Goenkaji, that's true. Everything you're saying is true. You have to be able to remain equanimous in order to keep moving productively through life. I've been studying religions now because I have decided that it is not sufficient for me to have merely my relationship with God as an individual. I would like to study more, to learn more. I want to seek out or at least investigate some environments of structure and curriculum. And because my upbringing, the closest thing that I had to a religion was in self-realization fellowship, my default has always tended towards meditation is the way that one really gets to know God. And the religions that I have studied, it seems very much like there is little to no emphasis on meditation. There's a lot of prayer, but there's not a lot of meditation. And those two things are distinctly different. For me, I want to meditate first, clear, purify, empty, whatever, and then I want to pray. Even though they both, ideally, at least for me, they involve changing of your brainwaves, aka doing something that gets you into some kind of subconscious raised, consciousness lowered state. All of these other religions emphasized works, not meditation. So I have now come to two different branches of orthodoxy from two of the Abrahamic religions. And I like this concept of orthodoxy in each of them because what it is about, it seems, is blending East and West. Obviously, meditation, very East. And I like that. But we need to know how to be equanimous because we have to, if we're going to be maximally productive and useful in this world, whatever religion, whatever, if you don't follow one, whatever, ever you do. The world is always going to be happening around us, and we still have this hardware and this software that is going to react to it in a certain way. So no matter how pure of heart, no matter how much work you've done, whatever, you are still subject to being a human. Which is like, even if everybody else does everything according to your plans, you're still going to have moods. You're still going to have doubts. You're still going to have this or that. And that's just if everything outside of you goes according to plan. Well, hello, this is life. That's not going to happen. If it can't go wrong, it will go wrong. So plan on that happening, and then plan on your own deviations from your standard or whatever sort of normal baseline you'd like to have. Like, that's going to happen. That's just going to happen. It's going to happen for no other reason than God tests you. And just when you think you've got it figured out, no matter what arena, no matter what level, whatever, just when you think you've got something figured out, you are going to get a test that is perfectly designed to test all the skills that you have at your current level. That is a fact. And that is why we have to learn how to remain equanimous in the face of everything else that's happening, so that we can be non-reactive, connect to our best self, who is non-reactive, has filled their mind with the correct inputs, and then can proceed from there. Because when we are not subject to all of the other noise, the stories, the etc., everything that we create, we have a much better shot at seeing reality for what it is. Our part in it, somebody else's part in it, the randomness of the world's part in it, God's part in it, etc., whatever. And we are able to see why we might be wanting to take an action or might want to not be taking an action or whatever. It is only through going to war with yourself like this, everything that it takes to get you to that place past level 2, let's say, of which is not an insignificant level. Don't let the smallness of that digit influence you into thinking that level 2 is something to be scoffed at. Even quieting the mind to get past level 0 to level 1 is something to be proud of. If there's only, let's say, 10 levels, it's going to take you longer to go from 2 to 3, then 3 to 4, then 4 to 5, etc. It's going to take you longer to get from each one of those levels to the next one. Pretty sure I would say I got 2 levels. I just started to touch or sniff at level 5 because all those hours of meditation in the retreat, they compound, and the environment of the retreat itself additionally compounds. So the point of meditation is to get oneself to this place where at the experiential level, we know that everything that we are feeling is going to, and then once we have that knowledge, we are so much more powerful, so much more equipped to not only deal with the world around us, but show up most effectively as our highest selves in that world. And, of course, I have to throw a meathead perspective on this. You can't see it because of the pump cover, but, I got the juicy pump earlier, and I'm gaining some size here for the winter. So, of course, I have to think about, yes, of course, you want to do meditation for all these reasons, but it's also, it's like lifting weights. It's getting in shape for your mind. How cool is that? You can get a big old pump for your brain. It feels awesome. But seriously, it's everything else that is a positive in meditation happens when you get to that point. The shrinking of the amygdala, everything else. I'm sure that that's all happening on the way to getting to that point where you're like, oh, whoa, everything passes. I have now achieved total presence and shutting off the habit pattern of the mind. It's also awesome. You're literally getting your brain jacked, not in a way that you're shoving it with new information. That's like, I don't know, a skinny, like a skinny kid who has abs doing a new workout program. And it's like, that's cool, dude. You didn't really make any changes. You're not meaningfully bigger or stronger. You just, I don't know, kind of a little pump or something, or like you worked on your shoulders, so like you look a little bit bigger, but like not really any different. That's what shoving your head full of new information is like. Whereas you start meditating, you change the actual structure of your brain, its ability to focus for longer, retain new information, recall that information from further back, dusty old crannies. It dusts off those old crannies too. It changes everything about your brain for the better. So that's like, instead of this skinny kid with abs, he goes and learns all the ins and outs of, let's say, applies all the strong first principles, learns how to really train. Full range of motion, irradiation, perfect form, throw in a little good RPE, RIR gauge. And now, this kid's gained 30 pounds. He's yoked. Fundamentally different. He's transformed. That's what meditation does to the brain. That's cool. So maybe preparing your soul for going home to God, being with God, knowing God while you're here on earth, maybe that is not as interesting to you as weaponizing your brain. You get them both in meditation, and I think that's pretty cool. All right, y'all. I'm probably going to go meditate now. Go forth and speak boldly.